Yes, we are.
All right.
Okay. Once again, welcome to the Soldier Stories podcast. My name is Mark Ross, and with me this afternoon, I have with me Jared Maxwell. Jared,
Hey,
again,
hey,
to the
Mark.
show, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah,
Uh,
man.
all right. Now, I titled this, I titled our episode 35 months, 35 months in deployment.
Yep,
Uh, uh,
that'd be accurate.
man, when you told me that that blew me away. I mean, I think you saw the awe in my face when we had our initial conversation, man, because that's damn near 3 years. It's three freaking years. But before I get in that, I just want to ask some general questions, just for conversation's sake.
All right.
Uh, Jared, what branch did you serve?
I was Army.
Army. How long were you in the service?
9 years.
Nine.
Yeah.
9 long years, bro. And
I
what was
mean,
your
I was, yeah, I know. I planned on staying in, and then deployments is what burnt me out. I think that would make sense. So,
Mhm. Speaking of that, what was your MOS?
so I had two MOSs. I started off in air defense as a 14 Sierra, which is Avenger crew member and slash Stinger missile operator, the guys that shoot shoulder fired missiles at aircraft.
Hmm.
And then I reclassed to infantry after that. So I was 11 Bravo. And then for most of my time, I was light infantry or airborne.
Hmm.
So those are the two biggest things I did. And then it's not like, I know you're a Marine Corps. So the Marines actually assign MOSs to each duty position within the infantry. The Army does not. The Army has designators. So I
Okay.
had different designators for the different jobs I did within the infantry is what it was. So, but it was all under the MOS of 11 Bravo.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Uh, and what made you join the military, Jared?
So, I mean, I grew up in Florida. I'm pretty much Floridian, but my family's all in New York.
Right.
Um, so 9/11 happened in my senior year of high school. So it was pretty much at the time was the thing to do. Like, as soon as they said, "Oh, we're under attack," everyone's like, "Well, now everyone's joining the military, or the Army and Marines mostly." So that's pretty much what I did. I went in the Army, and my mom was happy because I was turning 18, and that means that I would get the hell out of her house. So it was perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you on that. I hear you on that. So I agree with that too, because once I turned 18 before, yeah, I turned 18 before I went to boot camp. So yeah, I get that.
Makes
Uh,
sense.
say what?
Makes sense. I turned 19 in basic training, from what I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when I was in boot camp, I was supposed to go earlier, but I didn't want to spend my birthday in boot camp. So I waited till September to go.
Mhm.
So,
That makes sense because your birthday in boot camp, there is some hazing. I remember that actually.
oh no, no, yeah, I'm not going to
It
get my
was it was hard to remember, but yeah, that
yeah, no, I'm not getting my ass whooped. No, no,
the
not for my
pink bellies, is that what they did? The pink belly where they slap your stomach?
shit.
I think that's what they did.
Man, no, the Marines, I don't know, they may give you a blanket party or some shit. I don't know.
Oh God.
But yeah, during our initial conversation, Jared, we did talk about your several tours in combat situations.
Mhm.
Uh talk about that, man, and talk about, talk about those experiences and what 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 that was like for somebody coming out of high school, you know, going into the military and just getting thrown in for
Mhm.
damn near 3 years. What was that like?
Um, so so the first okay, so basically, when I enlisted, it was right after 9/11, but I had to finish high school. So at
Yeah.
the time, it was no one would have thought this would have picked back up, but everyone pretty much thought Afghanistan was over with, right? So I thought that I was joining and they were going to take us over to Afghanistan for some kind of peacekeeping operation, and there wasn't going to be any war anymore. But the thing is that we were all training for war. So it's kind of like, you're on a football team, you're getting trained to do something, you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is that during that training pipeline was when the Iraq War started to kick off.
Mm-hmm.
There were all the tensions in Iraq were going on,
Yeah.
and whether I know the Iraq War is very controversial as to why it ever happened, but it didn't really matter. All of us were kind of like, "What's Iraq got to do with this?" But it doesn't matter because if that's where we're going, that's where we're going. You know. So I'm like, all right, well, let's go to Iraq then. So
Yeah.
um, that was the big talk, and then it was I was exactly 1 year in the army when we finally deployed. So I was in a task force in the 82nd Airborne that basically the 82nd it's not really part of the regular line infantry units of the army. It's a little bit separate because they have what's called a division readiness force, I think they called it, or global readiness force. So basically, it's more of a contingent where they didn't do regular deployments. It was more last minute. We need these guys to, who know, if sometimes it could be, hey, we're going to parachute in and take out a dictator. Like that's kind of like what the unit was meant for. So we were not on standby to just deploy. It was more like this task force has to stand by and get ready to get in their parachutes and go jump into somewhere in Iraq. That's what we thought we were going to do, but
Mm-hmm.
they ended up pushing us back after the invasion started, and instead of jumping in, we jumped in a cargo plane, and we had all our shit on, all our gear, equipment, and then we flew from Fort Bragg, North Carolina, to Baghdad International Airport, pretty much in one shot in a cargo plane.
Mm.
18 hours. That was no fun.
Man.
So, so I'll tell you, like when you say what it was like, I mean, it was exciting and scary. But then I remember
Mm.
when the tailgate went down for the first time. Like we're watching the tailgate go down slowly, and
Mm-hmm.
there's still smoke in the distance. I mean, half of Baghdad is still on fire. I mean, this place is it's horrible. Like, and then this 115-degree, whatever it is, heat starts hitting us in the face. 120 degrees, I think. I don't remember how it is, but and I remember just seeing him, and my team leader at the time was a Desert Storm veteran, so he knew Iraq. And he's like, oh, this is our new home for the next whatever it was, 6 months. And I'm like, it literally looks like hell. Like this is the spitting image of hell.
So so buildings were burning, everything was torn
Yeah, like
apart,
a lot of because you can see
chaos.
Baghdad in the distance was like the actual city of Baghdad was still in ruins because of the shock and awe campaign that happened a few months prior. And there were still raids going on, still airstrikes. And I'm just looking around, I'm like, this is insane. So that deployment was actually kind of fun, to be honest. Um, once we got once we got going with our mission, and everything, I think because the unit I was in was more tasked as a raid force than it was like just doing conventional patrols. So the guys that were doing the patrols were the ones that were getting blown up by IEDs and ambushed all the time. Us just mostly doing raids and going out in the middle of the night and stuff like that. We actually didn't take that many casualties. I mean, there were some, and most of the ones that we responded to were from other units actually. So it was more like it
Wow.
was like this isn't so bad. Like I just thought it wasn't. Um, I could count on one hand how many times I got shot at in that deployment, like actual firefights.
The one in Baghdad, or all
Yeah,
three.
it was actually but we were actually mostly in Fallujah, but yeah. So but there wasn't that much contact, and there was, but for the most part, we pretty much owned that place. Like I think the Iraqis knew who we were because
Mm-hmm.
of how hard we were doing our job. So I'd say that one was more like I got to learn how to do my job, and it was kind of fun, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that motivated me to stay in, and that's when I did my reclassification. Um, I went to I can't remember what year it was, but I started the special forces pipeline and didn't complete it. And then I ended up leaving and going to the big army, the regular conventional army, to a regular infantry unit out of New York, Fort Drum, New York. So that one was a little bit different. I think that's the one that did it, that turned me off to everything.
Mm.
Because Being a little more specialized, you kind of, once you have like a, once you're in something a little more specialized and you have one specific purpose to do something, you don't have to experience the real horror of war as much as like the regular infantry guys do. Like the regular old grunts in the Army and Marine Corps, like they take the brunt of everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what I got to experience was going to that unit and finding out like this is what it's like to do regular infantry stuff, like be a ground pounder, you know?
Yeah.
So we deployed, I think I was on a sniper team first when I deployed, and then I moved back over to a line unit. And I was rifleman, machine gunner, and team leader. I worked in a whole bunch of different spots, but that deployment was absolute hell on earth. So that was East Afghanistan. So all right, so we all know about like the movie Lone Survivor and the book and everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that whole incident that happened was actually in over in the Kunar province of Afghanistan.
Right. Right.
So that province
Great book,
basically,
by the way.
what's that? Yeah.
That was a great book. Yeah.
Yep. So basically that province backs up northeast into Pakistan and then kind of crosses over toward China too in the mountains. So um, it's all like it looks like Colorado. Like it looks like the spitting image of Colorado, the Rocky Mountains.
Okay.
Like very tall spruce trees and like spruce and holly forests everywhere, thick and green. Like it looks beautiful.
Mm.
But imagine having to fight in that, right? So that's one of the reasons that whole thing with that SEAL team happened. So my unit was actually sent there with the I don't want to get this wrong, but I might. But I think it was the 1-3 Marine Corps. I think. I can't remember if it was maybe 3-1, 1-3, but I can't remember. So
I'm thinking 1-3, but you go ahead.
So it was us and them, and basically they tasked us with taking over that entire area what happened because that incident was kind of an eye opener. They were saying, well, if it was that bad, like we didn't really have troops there at the time. So they said, we need to put a presence there because it seems like that's an infill exfil route for the Taliban moving in and out of Pakistan. And that's what it was. They were moving all their weapons in and out of Pakistan through that route. So they basically sent us out there to build outposts. I mean, like Vietnam style, building outposts, setting trip flares, sleeping in dirt. They sent us out to do that, and that was a year plus to having to do that. So, and now we're basically, intercepting the supply lines of the Taliban, which is the most dangerous thing you could think of at the time. So Afghanistan had kind of drawn down at the time, and all of the focus was in Iraq. So most of the air support and most of the assets were going to Iraq. So we had almost no support while we were there. We're basically sitting out in the middle of nowhere in these mountains and moving up and down, carrying 120, 130 pounds sometimes, going on like 30 to 40 kilometer movements and moving around. And basically all we did was walk and get shot at.
Yeah.
So they they call them move into contact is what it's called. So that's what it is. You keep on walking until you're completely dirty, tired, hungry, and completely exhausted. And then you keep doing that until someone shoots at you. And then your job is to now take out that threat.
Right.
And then you're gonna keep walking. You're gonna keep moving.
Oh.
I mean,
So you take out the target and then just keep going back to what you were doing.
But there's also what's called a BDA, a battle damage assessment. These guys shot at us from a whole nother ridge, which could be a 5-hour walk just to get there. Well, we can't just shoot at them and say, I think they're dead. We got to go over there and confirm what happened.
Yeah.
And see if we can recover equipment, bodies, anything,
Yeah. Yeah.
So first we got to move over there. And then sometimes that takes us off our initial route and we have to turn back and keep moving from there. And yeah, so then there was the movements and the living conditions were horrible. So it was, we're sleeping in dirt in the ground the whole time. Living like animals, like actual animals. I mean, the best sleep I ever got was 1 hour, and it was sleeping on top of a pile of goat crap. Yeah, it was just lines of there was lines of goat droppings everywhere, and we were settling in, and they basically said, "Let's do a rotation. We can get like a good hour out of it." And I'm like, I haven't seen a full hour of sleep in so long, so I'm like,
What?
all right. So I had a rocket launcher on my back, what was it called? The AT-4. Remember those? The
I heard about, yeah.
Yeah, it's like an
I,
anti-tank rocket. So I had that on my back and I threw it down. I'm like, I'll use this as a headrest. And I lie down. I'm like, oh, it's nice and soft. My buddy's like, dude, like we're laying on poop. I'm like, oh, I don't care. And then just went to sleep.
what?
um,
Whoa.
so it's like everything that I ever heard about Vietnam, like when they were like, yeah, we didn't sleep the whole year and we were getting ambushed every night. And and like all we did was walk around until Charlie shot at us. I'm like, that's what it was like there. Like, holy shit.
The same
So
thing.
yeah. So and then I think it kind of goes without saying that living like that also meant casualties.
Mm,
So we had a lot more than I had ever expected.
mm.
Um,
Talk about that.
I don't remember the exact numbers. I think it was. I think my battalion had like 20 or so. I could be wrong. Maybe around 20, a little bit over or something. That was for killed. And then it was minimal, at least 100 were wounded, maybe 100 plus 130 or so. So that was about a fifth of our battalion. So our battalion was about 700. So about a fifth of our battalion were casualties, just either dead or wounded. And some of the wounded were lucky to be alive. It was only because we had really good medics. But yeah, there was just so much shooting, so many explosions. It was insane. Um, so that deployment really burnt me out. Like people thought it sounds cool when I talk about some of the stuff we did, and it does. It does. It sounds really cool. It sounds like a movie. I mean, like we did a lot of like air insertion or what do you call it, air assault insertion, where riding on helicopters.
Yeah. Yes.
I saw missiles get shot at bad guys, and airstrikes come in, all that cool stuff you see in the movies. But it was every day. That was part of our life. So by the end of the deployment, we had about I think my company was in 180 firefights roughly. And then there were some other indirect incidents and IEDs and stuff too, but it was mostly those firefights that were kicking our ass. So I got really good at my job because of that.
Sure you did.
I got really good. I mean, my shooting skills, my moving skills, my tactical knowledge, like I was an expert when it came to infantry because of that. So I mean, it was so easy for me to do my job after that. I was like, I don't think it'll ever be as bad as this. So the problem is that I was burnt out. So I had I had just enough time left that if I would have stayed and just let my time fly, that they would have stop lost me for a third deployment, no matter what. Like it was guaranteed because the war was now at the height and it was getting worse. So I re-enlisted again only because I wanted to get out of that element and go back to what I knew, which was the airborne. So I did that. I went back to the 82nd Airborne, and that's where I did my third deployment, which was still bad. I mean, I really can't compare anything to that second one. But
that was a Valley of Death. That was your second deployment, right?
yeah, it was, so yeah, a lot of it was in the Valley of Death, the Korengal Valley. Yeah. So the first one was Fallujah, Iraq. Fallujah is famous too. I mean, that's a hot spot. Everyone knows about the Battle of Fallujah and everything.
Yeah.
So the second one was Kunar and the Korengal Valley and all those places around it. And then the third one was mostly in South Afghanistan in was it Zabul?
Kandahar?
No, Kandahar. Yes, Kandahar City. We were in Kandahar City, and then also I think it was called Zabul Province, like southeast. I'm pretty sure. So Zabul wasn't. It was not fun. It was not good, but it was. I wouldn't say it was as bad as having to deal with that stuff we did in Kunar. But then Kandahar City was, no, it was Fallujah all over again. So
Was there a moment during your deployments that haunts you still?
Yeah, there's a lot. Um, yeah. Um, would you looking for something specific?
I
Or
mean, if you want to talk about either anyone that haunts you, I mean, you say you have several, so you can just tell me one that haunts you.
um, you know, learning how to deal with loss was the hardest thing. So my first deployment, we had, there were some casualties, but again, there weren't a lot that were actually in my unit. So I didn't really have anyone that I was close to get killed.
Hmm.
Um, so I couldn't say much about that. Now the second one that was different. So yeah, so basically we were on a mission out in the Korengal Valley. It was when I was on the sniper team at the time. So my sniper team leader had he had gone home. I think it was because of kidney stones. It's like, again, it's been a long time, so it's hard to remember all this, but I think it was because of kidney stones. Like he was like urinating blood or something like that.
That's not
So,
fun. Yeah.
and that's something that they would typically send you home for treatment. So, especially because you're out there in the dirt. So yeah, I think he went home. It was only temporarily to get it treated. So and so because of that, my team got broken up, and they set me with a team leader that I did not get along with at
Hmm.
all. So at the time, there were two sniper team leaders. One of them was Durgan, and then the other one was Newsom, I think his name was. Yeah. So Durgan and Newsom were the only two team leaders left, and then they basically divided us to go jump in with them. And I thought I was going to work with Durgan because I love that guy. He was a great guy. They put me with this guy Newsom, who we did not get along. Um, he just we never saw eye to eye. We almost went to blows at one point. It was bad.
Hmm.
So because of we were out in a movement, and we got shot at a few times in this movement. And then like when we came back from this patrol, my sniper section leader told me, he's like, he basically grounded me for taking a break because he thought I was going to kill
Oh,
this team leader.
oh my
And
goodness.
he even told me that he was going to get fired anyway. They were going to kick him out of the section. But um, basically with that, he's like, you're going to be grounded for the next mission. Basically, I'm like, okay, fine. So
All right.
I'm like, I'll take a break then. And it wasn't a break. The break in the Korengal meant that you were going to get rocketed while you're while you're hopefully getting an hour of sleep that night.
Hmm.
So I uh, I was helping engineers or something, which I can't remember what it was now. I think it was retrieval because all of our supply drops never made it to us out there because the rugged terrain. The supply drops would come in and they would break down, hit the side of a mountain, explode, and we'd lose all of our water and MREs. So
Oh
I
damn.
think we were trying to recover those.
Yeah.
Then we started getting rocketed while we were trying to recover those. So I mean, it's like, yeah, there's no break. But so that happens, and then so my buddy Caesar, uh, Hispanic guy, Caesar Cuellar was his name. He was about to leave for another patrol with Durgan, and they thought I was coming with him because another one of their guys got grounded too from that uh that patrol. So I asked the section sergeant. He said, "No, you're staying here." I'm like, "Okay, fine." So then Durgan, they called him out last minute, and he was like, he has something to tell me, and he's like telling me, he's like, "Hey man," and I'm like in the middle of something. I'm like, "What's up? Are you leaving?" And he said, "Yeah." He's like, then he goes, "You know what? Just I gotta go." And they started calling on the radio and stuff. He's like, "I gotta go." So he's like, "I'll tell you later." I'm like, "All right, cool." Maybe he just got married or something. Who knows? But
Okay.
I don't know. uh, thought nothing of it, and then they moved up. They were responding to what they thought was a high value target that was near the village of Landigal in within the Korengal Valley. They got up there and they ended up in a near ambush, and Durgan was killed.
Mm.
So, everything's going haywire back. We're trying to figure out because what happened was like, the sun is first setting, it's getting kind of dark, and these guys get into a near ambush. And I can tell you from experience that like a near ambush, that's basically, I'm not sure if they call it the same thing in the Marines, But near ambush means that you're within hand grenade distance when they ambush you. So they're very close to you.
Yeah.
So when you're in that, it's the most confusing thing you can think of. Because when that gunfire goes off and the rounds are going everywhere, you have no idea what's they could be right in front of you, wouldn't know what's happening. It just throws you off so bad. So there was no, he really had no chance to react. So they all duck when the rounds start going off, and they shoot back, and then the ambush is over like that. It was like, a good mad minute, and then these guys, the Taliban, ran off. That's what they do, hit and run.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
now everyone's like, what the hell just happened? They're looking around, they're like, these guys are on us. Like, they know that, like, we're gonna get surrounded if we stay right here, because they were in a clearing
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah.
So they're like, they did the I think it was the ACE report, the ammo casualties equipment. They called out the ACE report and said, all accounted for, but then they said, wait, where's Durgan? So what happened at the time was, because of the confusion and everything, and the fact that they had to move from that spot, they didn't realize that he was missing. So it turned into, they were searching for half the night because of how dark it got, and it's very wooded there.
You can't see shit.
Nope. And it's forested, so yeah, you're not seeing shit. So they
wrap.
finally found him. When he got hit, he fell into a small ditch beneath a rock outcropping, a bunch of holly trees surrounding it. That's why they couldn't find him. So when he fell down there, I mean, he was shot straight through the heart. He was dead before he hit the ground. Like one of those 7.62 rounds hits your heart up to you'll barely even know what happened.
Wow. So it's a straight kill shot.
Yeah, it was. It was 2 rounds hit his body, but only one actually went into him. One hit, because we were snipers, so we didn't wear helmets, but we had helmets that we carried with us. So his helmet was strapped to the back of his assault pack. So his helmet got nailed there, and then the other one went through the left side of his body armor and into his heart. So, that was the worst one, I think, because like Durgan was someone that I really liked and respected. Like he was a really good dude, and the fact that I was stuck not being able to go out there with him because I got into shit with this other idiot team leader that I couldn't stand, and no one could stand that guy.
Right.
And like it's just like like a domino effect, basically. Like they're like, oh no, you're staying here, and they tell the other guy you're staying here, and like, well, this guy can go here. They're just like, well, all right, just go out there. And I'm like, well, maybe something could be different if I go out there with them. That's what I kept thinking. It could have been different. Which is probably not true, because there's really nothing you can do. You get into a near ambush, it's luck of the draw if you're gonna get killed or not. So
wow.
With this guy telling me, hey, I'm gonna tell you something later, then he goes and gets killed. I mean, that's one of the hardest things to cope with. So yeah, I was a mess for a long time because of that one. A long time, and I still think about him all the time too. It's I'm not like destroyed because of it, but I definitely think about him a lot.
Yeah, it's still in the back of your head.
Yeah, always.
For sure. So you do your deployments and you get out. How difficult was it for you to transition back into civilian life?
Very.
Yeah.
I
can relate. Yeah.
So I got out because I really just, Durgan wasn't the only one. I think I had almost 30 friends get killed. But he was the first big one, right? So, and I was just like, I keep deploying, I'm gonna keep rolling the dice. Like, I've seen too many people die. I'm so freaking tired of this. And like, I'm tired of going to combat. I'm tired of getting shot at. Like, none of it is fun at all anymore. I just want to get out.
Yes.
So that's what I did, but that was the only thing that I could think was, if I get out, I can figure something else out, right? And it's not the easiest thing in the world, because once you're out, you're on your own. There's no one to take care of you.
No. You are on your own.
Very. And the majority of people from what I found, the majority of people and employers and everyone, they don't care if you're military. Most people did not give a shit about the military at all. They're like, you came out of the army, or whatever. Like, it doesn't mean anything. I'm like, okay. So, so everything about it was really hard. So, what made it better was, I think it was, I think terminal leave for me started in August of 2011, and I was enrolled in college, which started in January. So basically, it sucked until January. Um, Things got better once I got into college and I started, because, for one thing, you get paid to go to college when you're on the GI Bill, so that's not bad.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it was, now I'm in college and I'm in a structure and I'm learning and I have goals, and like, it actually got me back on some kind of routine where it wasn't like I don't know what to do with myself, and like I was drinking too much, and so
Mm.
going to college helped. So uh, it didn't fix everything. I still had a lot of wounds that were just band-aided at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what led me to just saying, you know what, like I need a job like that's structured. And I just like, because the college life was all right, but I mean, I'm also one of the oldest guys in class, every class,
Yeah.
and God, it annoyed the crap out of me. And and I'll talk about like, the clientele in college, right? So I have never been one to do, I've never been big into like hookups, the hookup culture, having
Oh,
just meaningless sex,
oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, I've never been into that. Like I looked for something meaningful and it was impossible because like all the girls there were these, it seemed like they were, most of them were promiscuous. And the ones that weren't were just young and dumb, and they just like the way they talked, it drove me crazy.
Yeah.
So and they loved me. They had the hugest crush on me because I'm like the older guy in class that knows everything, apparently. I don't know, but and I did not take anything from it. I'm just like, no, look, girl, leave me alone. Like, like you have nothing to offer me. I'm like,
Okay.
you just turned 18 and I am 27 or
Oh,
whatever. So I'm like, this isn't gonna work.
no, no.
um, so
Uh,
that there was that, but then so
yeah.
I think that's what led me to decide I was going to try law enforcement.
Mm.
Um, and it wasn't a calling at all. I never thought of myself doing that job. So, but basically, I was working part time when I was working full time. I was in college actually, as doing security at one of the Disney resorts. I was living in Orlando at the time when
Oh,
it flooded.
okay.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and a couple of the managers there were retired police officers, and they're like, "Why don't you try law enforcement? You'd be good at it." I'm like, "No," and I kept saying no, but then my dad was a firefighter, and I'm like, public safety might be good being ex-military. So I didn't look into law enforcement, I looked into fire. And then I
Mm,
found out that law enforcement pays considerably more than fire.
indeed.
And then I thought about it and I'm like, well, I guess I know how to shoot and carry a gun, so maybe that'll help, because you carry a gun as a cop, right? And I know martial arts. I was big into it at the time, um, so it seems like, yeah, I guess like when it comes to the high liability stuff involved in law enforcement, I think I'll be okay. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll do it. So I did it, and I was really good at it. Really good.
Mm.
Um, so I was a cop for 11 years, and the everything that I dealt with in the army um, helped me deal with what you deal with as a police officer and also as a deputy sheriff at the time. A lot. It was easier to deal with everything that you deal with that we had to see in law enforcement, because once you've been to that level of war, like like the Valley of Death and everything, nothing's gonna ever compare.
Mm.
So I think that made the job easier for me. But then it was basically like, once the biggest thing about that job was just learning how to like the rules, the law, and how to talk to people. It's pretty much it.
Mhm.
So I got good at all of it, but that made I think that helped with the transition because it got me back into something that was similar to the military. Not really the same at all, but similar.
Yeah.
So I think that helped, but I think after a while, it started to kind of bring things back because it started to get my stress levels higher and everything. And I was a cop for 11 years, and I think it was after about year 9 or so that I started to really get burnt out. And it really wasn't the job itself.
Mm,
Um, it was the politics of the job.
mhm.
Um, law enforcement is like one of the worst career fields you can work in when it comes to politics and backstabbing and
Mm,
all that stuff. That is all it is. Like,
mm, mhm.
people you think are your friends will backstab you under the guise of we're doing the right thing, like
Yeah.
all the time.
Mm.
So I started to see that in multiple places that I worked, and I kept on jumping different law enforcement departments and agencies, thinking it would get better, and it only got worse.
Mm.
So yeah, that was it. Like I ended up quitting on very bad terms.
Wow. So you never so you used work as a way and school as a way to cope
Right,
with dealing with all the loss and the trauma that you experienced in the military,
but it didn't help.
but it didn't really help.
So basically what happened was so when I was a kid, I grew up around show business, actually.
Mm,
My parents were in the entertainment industry. My mom was a Broadway performer, and my dad was a producer of film and movies and video and stuff like that. So, and he was also a audio engineer. So he ran a business doing that stuff, and because of that, that name they gave me, Jared Maxwell, was supposed to be my thespian name because they thought I was going to be a performer like mom and dad. So
mm, mm.
um, that's why I have a Hollywood type of name. Um, but so acting and singing classes and stuff like that when I was a kid, and I never got into it. And what I did get into was behind the scenes. And because of that, I learned I was really good at telling a story, like really good. I got very well versed in it from like seeing everything how everything works in behind the scenes stuff my dad did, talking to the guys that wrote screenplays and storyboarding and stuff like that. So storytelling became my things, which definitely helped in law enforcement because I was very articulate.
Mm.
So when I was in college, my what I was studying was creative writing in English.
Okay.
So and then a little bit of psychology too, but it was mostly that. So and that was basically the idea was I was going to write, right? Creative writing.
Mm.
So it wasn't until I finally hit that breaking point in law enforcement that I finally sat down and I'm like, I've had writer's block for 12 years at this point. Like, I want to write something. I sat behind my computer, and 1 month later, I produced a book.
Just like that.
Yeah, a month later, it was done, and then a month after that, it was published.
Oh,
So,
what's the name of the book?
so it's the Last Gunfighter,
All right.
and I have a copy right here actually. So,
All right.
um, basically, I was going to therapy, and journaling is the biggest thing that helped.
Okay.
But journaling is one thing, but because of my niche in writing, I wanted to write stories. So my thing was like, I can write fiction that can also be cathartic. It can help me with some of the stuff I've dealt with and seen and help act as therapy in the way I'm writing,
Yeah.
but also tell a good story and, use my personal experiences to tell a good story that can also be therapeutic to me. So The Last Gunfighter is the first novel in probably a series of novels that I'm going to be writing. They're all not really a series, but the same kind of themes.
Mm.
And that this is the first one that I wrote out of it, and a lot of it is based on lived experience and some of the stuff that I dealt with. Uh, some military a little bit, but it's more on the side of law enforcement, and like some of the toxicity behind it and everything.
Mm.
But so yeah, that's nothing. Me saying college will help, a job will help. The going to law enforcement will help. It's like no, um, when you have a massive avulsion right? Like a giant cut where you have a flap of skin that's coming off you, right? Putting a stitch in it is not going to do it.
No, no,
Putting a band-aid over it ain't going to do it
right,
either. You might need surgery.
right.
So
Got to do something about it.
exactly. So and that's all I was doing for, I got out in 2011, and that's all I did up until earlier this year was keep on trying to throw band-aids over the wounds that were there. And um, my experiences helped. I mean, I was really good at law enforcement. I think my track record for arrests and convictions and everything that came with it, it was all proven. Everyone that worked with me knew that I was like one of the best cops around. Um,
Mm.
Players don't see it that way though. They see you as a threat when you're that good.
Yeah, yeah.
Always.
And depending on what areas of town that you go to, as a cop, you will always be looked at as a threat.
Some. Um, there are some. So uh, when I worked in the Orlando area in Kissimmee, um, it was more like that there.
The
Um,
Orlando,
yeah, like they call it Warlando. So
Orlando.
any town that gets most of their money from tourism is going to be a rough town. It's going to have a lot of crime. That's everyone is like that.
Okay,
Oh yeah,
okay.
Orlando is rough, very. All of the outlying areas to Orlando are rough.
Wow.
I worked in Kissimmee, which is like it's like the next big city down from Orlando, from in that area.
Mm,
Um, so it was like that there. If you were a cop, you were the enemy, right? Um,
period.
they hated us. And so yeah, you couldn't do anything right. And then, the way it worked there was like the administration would pander to people that didn't like cops. So if they made a complaint on you, you were guilty. So proven innocent. Always, you're guilty, no matter what, right? Didn't matter what it was.
Mm,
So, but then I saw that it was more like that everywhere. But even though some areas weren't as bad, so when I moved over to a sheriff's office over here in the Space Coast, because I just want to live beachside. That's the only reason. But and the populace wasn't as bad about that. For the most part, they liked us. And really, the only people that didn't like us were the criminals, which I'm okay with.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, if only the very small minority of people, which are the criminals, don't like us, and everyone else likes us, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that's
Where
understandable.
it wasn't everyone and their mother just points at us and says they hate you. Um, so yeah, that much, like, it just depends on where you are. It's not everywhere, but it was more about like, yeah, the administration that runs law enforcement. I mean, I can tell you that it's not the same everywhere, but it is the majority of law enforcement has been hijacked by career politicians that are only out for themselves.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
they will do anything they can to boost their own career,
mm,
and they could not care less about the people that they're sworn to protect.
mm,
All they care about is their own image,
mm,
and that's what I come to find out. And I fell victim to it too many times,
mm,
and that's how I ended up getting the hell out.
mm.
So,
Wow. That's that sadly it doesn't shock me because there is a I guess a substantial amount of corruption that
absolutely.
occurs in our police departments all over the country. So, you know,
And
uh,
you know, I always thought the whole corruption thing was a myth because it always seemed like that was something that happened back in the 70s, and then now it's more regulated. At least that's what they make it seem like.
mhm,
It's very true. I saw members of administration and command staff that were literally getting kickbacks and like doing the like backdoor favors for people that, and a lot of it was stuff that was criminal. And they were doing it because they knew that they had a badge and they had rank and they could do whatever they want.
mm,
As long as I hold this position that I'm in, I can do whatever I want. And then, the guys that are below me, well, I'm going to make them do whatever I want.
mm,
And those, then, they're the very small minority of cops are actually like the old school crime fighters, the ones that actually just want to go out there and find drugs and guns and and get criminals off the street, right?
Mm,
And those are the ones that for the most part, the people, like the population in those areas, they want those guys. They like them. They're the ones that are like, like Jim Bob over here has been committing robberies every single night. Why don't you do something about it? Well, that crime fighter, the goon as they call it, is like, yeah, I got this. He's the one that's gonna put that jerk in jail, right? Um, and then doing that was going to make the career of those administrators look bad, because those are guys that went in, sat under a tree when they were on patrol, and then they immediately went into something like internal affairs where they could kind of back their way into promotion. Um, I've never seen that amount of dope or guns before. You must be doing something wrong to get it. Let's punish this guy. That's pretty much the attitude that they have.
mm.
Yeah, you're making me look bad, so I'm gonna ruin your career.
Yeah. Damn.
It's pretty much
Wow. Sound like something out of a movie, man.
right. So I actually just finished writing another book that focuses more on the corruption.
Mm,
I I was thinking about it, I'm like, I don't really want, I'm not sure if I want to go too much into it, but because so for the Last Gunfighter was more focused on psychology. Um, that this book is very much into psychology, and it goes in a little bit of like how toxic the culture is and how some of the guys who work for in law enforcement are just total idiots.
mm.
But it goes more into the character driven story behind it.
Okay.
So I'm going to write a follow up to it, and actually I'm almost finished with that follow up.
Nice.
That goes more into the what corruption in law enforcement really looks like, because I think a lot of people don't know how bad it is and what it actually looks like.
Mm.
So I'm going to use real examples, and I don't care. I'll probably have some sheriff that's going to put a target on my back for it, but I don't care. I'm going to tell the truth, and I actually want to put that together and tell them like, this is what your God on TV is actually doing behind closed doors.
What's the old saying? A hit dog will bark.
Exactly.
So
But
just make the right dog. It's
now,
going to bark.
yeah, but that one's not out yet. I'm still working on that, and but it'll probably dive deep. But so um, yeah, so basically, like what I was getting at was like, all that stuff that I dealt with in law enforcement, college, and everything, like did not help. Um, yeah, like you said, I was just kind of putting on a front. I was masking it, right?
Yes, sir.
So all I did was put a band-aid on it, and I needed to do what I'm good at to actually feel better. Now that I can actually, I work as an independent contractor. I'm a veteran support consultant for a company that helps veterans with their claims.
Mm-hmm.
And then I write. And these are two things that I absolutely love. I love helping veterans, and I love writing, right? And I can write stories that are cathartic, that can help me. I make money off of doing something that I like doing. So this is where I found out like that, carrying a gun was no longer for me,
Mm-hmm.
right? Professionally having to carry a gun is no longer for me. I hung up the sword finally, and I realized that life is better now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the outlet that I needed was the writing and storytelling, more than putting a gun and badge on and having to go chase bad guys through, really bad areas and stuff.
Got you.
So
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad that you did, because you went through so much during your tour of duty, uh, and you saw so much injury and death. I'm sure, you probably had to go through your head like, man, why not me?
mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
I,
They call that survivor's guilt.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I had it for sure.
Hmm.
And when I worked in the city of Gethsemane, we had actually yesterday and today are the anniversaries, come to think of it. Back in 2017, we had two of our officers were killed. Um, the guy, it was basically like a sort of like an ambush situation, I guess you call it. Like he basically tricked them. But one of them was a friend of mine from the academy.
Hmm.
So, and then it was his sergeant. But yeah, they were both killed in line of duty, and it was a horrible night, horrible week after that, horrible months, you know. Um, and that kind of brought me back. I'm just like, oh, like, I thought I was out of the war. Um,
You're back in it.
Seems like I'm back in it now. I mean, almost.
You're just in the States. You're
Yeah,
back home, but you're in the war. Yeah.
pretty much.
The war never left you, brother.
Now, the good thing about that though is, you know, it's pretty rare that you see the death penalty. That guy actually got the death penalty. So I could say justice was served on that one. Um, you know, that was like all anyone wanted. We were like, dude, like it's like he just killed two of our best people for no reason. Guy was just a maniac.
Mm.
And that's all anyone wanted was just find out that justice would be served. And yeah, and there was a lot of tears in the courtroom and everything when everyone found out, yeah, he's getting death. So
Mm.
it's what he deserves.
Wow. Um, wow. Do you have any current triggers?
Triggers? Hmm. Not really. I think sometimes loud noises and explosions. I mean, I like fireworks. Fireworks are
Okay.
fun.
Okay.
But I think more like the unexpected kind of loud noises sometimes will do it. Because fireworks are, I know it's going to blow up and it's fun to watch, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's fun to blow them up too. So,
Right.
you
It's
know,
those that you like you said, them unexpected noises.
let's say
Yeah,
a car backfiring right next to me, and I didn't hear it, I didn't think it was coming.
yeah.
Sometimes, yeah, that I've had it before where I will, for about a split second, think that I'm back in Afghanistan when
Mm.
something like that happens. So that's
Yeah,
pretty much the only thing I think.
yeah.
The only thing that really triggers me.
Wow. Any regrets during your time in the military?
Um, Honestly, I do kind of regret not staying in because I was pretty much halfway done.
Yeah, yeah, you were.
Um, but I'm glad I got out because a lot of the guys that did decide to stay in, they got killed or wounded, you know. So I'm kind of 50-50 on that.
Okay. Okay.
Um, I do have the option if I want, I could go back in through part-time, like National Guard or something.
Yeah.
I still have that option until I'm like in my late 40s at this point because of how much time I had in. Just depending if I could go active duty in that case as well. But it's just, I would have to get a real wild hair at my ass because at this point I don't want to carry a gun for a living anymore. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I can have a gun and go shooting at the range and have fun every now and then, but I don't
Indeed.
want to have to get shot at and shoot at someone else.
Hmm. Right. Right. Or get shot at.
I've done enough of that.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. What message would you give to anyone that's curious about joining the military, Jared?
Know what you want. That's the biggest thing I can tell you is do your research and know what you want because I didn't. Um,
Yeah.
so I didn't know enough to make an educated decision on it.
Hmm.
I was in the special forces pipeline. I learned that later on is what I want. Um, and I honestly, if I wanted to be a Green Beret, I could go back and do it now. I'm in good shape. I know I could do it. It's just I just don't want to. Um, but if that's if you know that like I want to do 3 years so that I can get a GI Bill for college, right?
Mhm.
Like make that your goal and do not go past 3 years. Like do that minimal time and get out and work a job. It doesn't really matter what job you do in there, but maybe something that you think could somewhat relate to what you're going to go in, what career field you're looking to for college.
Mhm.
Most employers don't care; it's not going to count anyway. But you
Yeah.
can at least say on the resume that, well, I did when now I'm an engineer and I'm in the army. I was an engineer, something like that. So,
Mhm.
um, but if you want to go and sling bullets and do all that stuff, know exactly what you want to do. If you want to be an Army Ranger or a Marine Recon or one of those, the cool guy stuff, then make that your goal and tell the recruiter exactly what you want, and then go do it and train
And,
for it. You know,
yeah,
that's
and
the thing.
understand what you're getting into.
Exactly. Do your research.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Um, so yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. So
How can people contact you?
um, so I have they could use my email if they want. Jared Maxwell 82 at gmail.com. That's my professional email. I use it for work and also for my writing. So also for anyone that contacts me in reference to my writing too, like if they want to do book promotions or whatever. So use that as well. And then on Facebook, my author webpage is facebook.com/author Jared Maxwell, all one word.
Okay.
So they can contact me there. And then if they want to get a copy of this book, I mean, it's all they have to do is Google The Last Gunfighter by Jared Maxwell. And it's on every major platform. Amazon's probably the fastest, so I'd recommend Amazon, if you're gonna get it.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Jared Maxwell, it has been a pleasure, my brother,
Yeah,
having you come
absolutely.
on here and share your story. And I wish you nothing but success on your book and your upcoming books, because I know
Yeah.
you got two coming out too.
Free. Free. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I
All
can't
right.
stop
Three
writing.
books. Yeah, I don't want to shortchange you, man.
Yeah,
Get it
yeah, I
all.
appreciate
I want
it.
you
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, man. But Jared, again, I appreciate you, brother, and keep your head up, keep doing
Mhm.
what you're doing, and like I said, much success to you, brother.
Absolutely. And you too.
All right. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the Soldier Stories podcast. Uh, Stay with me, stay tuned, stay positive, guys, and go on my Facebook page and you know check me out. Also, go on my YouTube channel and subscribe to my channel. So, with that being said, Jared, you have a good rest of your day. Ladies and gentlemen, you do the same.
You too, brother.
Man, take care.
You too.
Bye.